On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, ASU soccer with a big upset versus USC last night. We have the highlights and more.
And ASU football travels up to Washington to take on the number 5 ranked Huskies and that big Michael Penix Jr. energy.
And ASU hockey opened its season 2-0 and has its second matchup of the year versus Northern Michigan. We break down what to expect this weekend. All this and more on Cronkite Sports Live.
It's the end of the week, and you know what that means. It's another episode of Cronkite Sports Live. Jonah Krell here with Ben Paris. And Ben, this is our first time anchoring together, and I guess we just didn't sync up on the attire. I'm dressed for a funeral, and you're dressed for a party.
Well, Jonah, it's always a party on a new episode of Cronkite Sports Live, and it was a party last night for ASU soccer, that huge ranked win against USC, and I've heard we got some highlights.
Absolutely. Let's get right into the highlights. It was a top 25 matchup at Sun Devil Soccer Stadium last night, and we'll just keep it rolling. And here we are, number 24 ASU, just 3-7 in their last 10 against the 11th ranked Trojans, and it was a physical battle all night long. Defense was the name of the match. Let's go to the 48th minute, still scoreless here, and Florian Jourdain with a corner kick, but ASU pinballs around, and that is just swallowed up and cleared away nicely, but they would have their own offensive struggles. Leading goal scorer Asia Cologne can't get it past Hannah Dickinson right there. Dickinson, one of the best goalies in the Pac-12 this season, but how about Carrie Matthews? And no chance right there. ASU top 3 in the Pac-12 in goals, but they adapted to playing a much more tougher defensive-minded match. But that would stand until about the 72nd minute here. Look, this time Matthews, that is pinpoint accuracy on the delivery, and Hannah Lapierre says, "I'll take the leftovers." Lapierre's second straight match with a goal coming up clutch. USC, though, one final chance right around the 88th minute, but that is no. Pauline Nails, once none of that seals the deal. ASU with the upset, and now here's Graham Winkworth.
I felt tonight when we did win possession of the ball, we gave it back too easily, and so we've got to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. Otherwise, we're going to be doing a lot of running in warm conditions, and so I think that would be the biggest thing. And we need to be brave enough to play. We need to don't kick it back to them. Be brave enough to play. And as you can see, we've done it all season. Howley puts the ball on the ground, and we trust our defenders with the ball at their feet.
All right, a huge win for ASU soccer. To help us break it down, we bring in Ryan Myers in studio. Ryan, a huge win over a ranked opponent. How'd they get the job done last night?
Yeah, Ben, ASU showed last night why they're one of the best defensive teams in the country, beating a team like USC and only keeping them to 2 shots on target. USC averages 2 goals a game. They have done that all season long, and they couldn't get anything against ASU last night. One of the reasons why that was due to head coach Graham Winkworth's tactical system. He switched from a usual setup where they had 3 defensive players to a 4, allowing them to absorb more pressure all game long. And obviously, you got to get goals to win games. ASU only had 5 shots last night, but they managed to get their goal thanks to Hannah Lapierre off a beautiful pass from Carrie Matthews.
All right, Ryan, so only a few games left in the regular season. It looks like that a trip to the NCAA tournament could be within reach. We didn't know if that would be the case at the beginning of the season. What does the picture kind of look like for ASU to continue playing into the postseason?
Yeah, ASU has climbed into the upper echelon of teams in the Pac-12 after this win yesterday. They were already 24th coming into last night's game, and they've proven why all season long that they belong in these sorts of conversations. A few weeks back, they traveled up to Stanford, ranked number 5 in the country, and held them to a 1-1 game until the 82nd minute when they finally gave up that goal. They've shown all season why they can hang with the best of them. And Ben, last time ASU beat an LA team was in 2020 when they beat USC, and you know who they beat after that game? Number 3 UCLA. ASU is having a great year, and this is not a team anybody wants to play against.
Seems like an awfully similar situation to what we have this weekend. It sets the stage for an even bigger contest on Sunday against number 2 UCLA. What makes the Bruins so good, and Is ASU going to have their hands full on Sunday as they try to pull off another upset?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk UCLA Bruins, you got to talk national champs. This team is the #2 team in the country for a reason, and they've carried off their momentum and pedigree from last year into this season. They've won all 7 of their Pac-12 matchups so far, and they score goals for fun, being led by senior forward Raylan Turner, who has 9 goals for herself and 6 goals in the Pac-12 already. And then beyond that, they share the wealth. This team is 6th in the country in goals per match at over 3 goals scored per game. UCLA is a very tough team, the hardest ASU is going to play all season long. But if they have a chance, they got to play with grit, they got to play with hunger, and they got to work together like they did last night in their win versus USC. And if they do that, they'll have a chance come Sunday.
Ryan, thanks for being in studio. I'm excited for the game on Sunday now, and a huge reason that ASU has been able to find success this season is thanks to the reliable play of the sophomore in net, Pauline Nels. With more on Nels, who made a little bit of history last night, we send it over to Luke Galindo.
ASU keeper Pauline Nels has more than proved that not only is she one of the best goalies in the Pac-12, but also the nation. The German native leads the Pac-12 in save percentage, is 4th in total saves, and 2nd in goals against average in the conference. Her numbers still stack up well nationwide as Nels sits 21st in the NCAA and GAA, making her one of only 2 sophomores ranked in the top 25. To say that she's been a help to this ASU team would be an understatement. Nels has pitched 9 clean sheets in ASU's 17 games this season, which is the record for the most shutouts in a single season in program history. Nels' consistency in net has helped propel the Sun Devils to a United Soccer Coaches poll ranking of 24, the first time they've been ranked since 2021. The sophomore's quick reflexes, good hands, and fearlessness make her a very well-rounded keeper, but what makes her different from all the other goalies in the country is her ability to distribute the ball. Her leg power allows her to hit accurate passes to pretty much anywhere on the pitch and clear the ball out in high-pressure situations. Needless to say, Nels' safeguard of the goal has been essential to the Sun Devils' success thus far and will become even more critical against some challenging opponents down the stretch, starting this Sunday against UCLA. Guys.
ASU soccer is now one of 5 programs on campus that are ranked within the top 25 for their sport at ASU. And when they host UCLA on Sunday, it will be just the 2nd matchup they've played with a number next to their name since September of 2021. The matchup with the Bruins will be their final of the regular season as the Sun Devils look for their 3rd ever win against UCLA in program history, and yet another ranked upset. It's going to be a big one on Sunday afternoon. Now across Rural Road at Desert Financial Arena, ASU volleyball finds themselves in the rankings for the 4th straight week, and they check in at number 17 after their 14-0 start to begin the J.J. Van Niel era. Since 2000, ASU volleyball squad has never won more than 20 games in a season, and by sitting at 18-2 with 12 games left, this season might have the makings to go down as one of the greatest in program histories as they attempt to clinch their first tournament bid since 2015. They take a trip up to the mountains this weekend. How about over at Mullet Arena, where the hockey team is at number 18 after sweeping Merrimack at their first 2 games of the season. It's the first time they've been ranked since 2020, where they check in at number 19 in the polls. Coach Greg Powers has the goal of taking the team back to the NCAA tournament in what is their final year as an independent program. The Devils became the fastest startup team to ever make the NCAA tournament in 2019 and would have made it again in 2020 if COVID didn't cancel the tournament. And now we fly over to the Mona Plummer Aquatic Center, home to the number 1 ranked men's swim team in the nation and number 21 woman. Bob Bowman and his squad took the Pac-12 championship last season, but would finish as runners-up to Pac-12 foe Cal at the national championships. The men have cruised to 3 early dual meet victories so far this season. So it turns out that the measure of a good collegiate athletic program might not just be the record of the football team, as ASU has so many teams ranked. But nonetheless, ASU football is coming off the bye this week, and they do have a tough task as they head up to Seattle, face the number 5 Washington Huskies. UW quarterback Michael Penix Jr. leads a potent offense and has the highest overall PFF grade among FBS quarterbacks and the 2nd most passing yards in the nation. Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham broke down what has gotten Washington within reach of the college football playoff earlier this week.
This is one of the rare teams that has difficult scheme with good players, great quarterback. And not many times do you have to play all three. Usually you get to play, a simple scheme, and we're going to beat you through our players, and then they have better players. Very rarely do you have to play a team that is super well coached with great players that use advantage plays.
1 year and 13 days. When Washington takes the field tomorrow, that's how long it will have been since its last loss against Arizona State last October. Fast forward to 2023, and Trenton Bourguet and Michael Penix are still the quarterbacks at the helm, but now the number 5 ranked Huskies are even more of a threat. Our own Riley Swenson breaks down Washington's 13-game win streak since that thriller in Tempe.
The journey for these two teams started back in October of 2022, when the Sean Aguano-led Sun Devils handed Washington their second loss of the season, effectively eliminating them from playoff contention. Michael Penix and the Huskies may have misfired against ASU, but since then, they have been on point. Their season ended with 7 straight wins, including a comeback in Eugene against the Ducks and an Alamo Bowl victory over the Texas Longhorns. Flip the page to this season, and the aim point has been set even higher, and the Huskies have played with impeccable precision. Penix and his team have hit every target along the way this season, highlighted by a win over Oregon last weekend in one of the biggest games of the college football season. And if that wasn't enough, Penix is currently the odds-on favorite for the Heisman. Now it comes full circle, as they are set to square off against the only team in the last year that has made them taste the bitterness of defeat. Can Kenny Dillingham get that signature win just as Sean Aguano did, or will Washington get revenge with a bullseye on Saturday?
Definitely some major storylines once again between these two teams. And for the Huskies, it's not just Michael Penix that makes them so lethal. WCSN football reporter Kevin Malater breaks down the offensive juggernaut that might give ASU some headaches.
This season, opposing defenses are going sleepless in Seattle, thinking about their matchup against the top 5 scoring offense in the Washington Huskies. UW is 3rd in FBS in total offense entering the tilt with ASU, and the team leads the country in passing offense. That success through the air stems from Heisman Trophy candidate Michael Penix Jr. In his 6th season of college football, Penix leads the FBS in passing yards per game and is number 1 in total offense. Not to mention, he's thrown the 4th most touchdowns in the FBS. The Southpaw's arm is dangerous for opposing defenses, and the pure strength in it can change the complexion of drives and even games. His final drive against Oregon is a microcosm of those abilities. But in order to throw the football well, you need weapons, and the Huskies have plenty at their disposal. 7 receivers have caught at least 1 touchdown this season, and 4 of them have caught 3 or more. UW has a 3-headed monster at its receiving core with Romo Dunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. All 3 receivers are exceptional at creating separation from their defenders and finding space to get the football. Not to mention each of the 3's ability to turn traditional 50-50 balls into consistent completions for the Huskies. Washington is yet to lose at home under Kalen DeBoer and are coming off their biggest win of the season in a top 10 showdown against Oregon. The Sun Devils will need their best defensive performance of the season to keep the Huskies' offense in the doghouse. Otherwise, it could be a very long night in Seattle.
Let's take some time to check in with the Conference of Champions, or maybe we should call it the Conference of Cannibals. As we continue to recount Pac-12 memories in the conference's final season, we have to look at how many teams in the conference have prevented one another from playing in the college football playoff time and time again. 2017 was the last time a Pac-12 school went to the CFP and was only the 2nd time ever after Oregon fell to Ohio State in the inaugural championship in 2015. Last year, all number 4 USC needed to do was win the Pac-12 championship, and it looked like a spot in the CFP would be theirs. But 3-loss Utah, who had no way to make the playoff, scored 30 points in the second half, including 23 in the 4th quarter, to run away with it and prevent the Pac from competing for a national championship. Just 1 year prior, during Week 11 in 2021, number 3 Oregon looked to make the CFP for a 2nd time when they went to Salt Lake City for a matchup with number 23 Utah. The Utes played spoiler yet again and embarrassed Oregon with their 38-7 victory, handing the Ducks their 2nd loss of the season. Oregon would have an outside chance to make the CFP, but guess what? Utah would do it again 2 weeks later, scoring 38 points again to win the Pac-12 championship. Arizona State has a role playing a spoiler in the Pac-12 too. Remember when Justin Herbert and company came to Tempe as the number 16 in the land? Well, one play would effectively end their national championship hopes when Jaden Daniels connected with Brandon Ayuk for an 81-yard touchdown to hand Oregon their second loss of the season. Oregon would go on to play 11-1 Utah in the Pac-12 title game, but guess what? The Pac-12 is going to Pac-12, and Oregon would take it and prevent number 5 Utah from making it to the college football playoff.
And now going from the grass to the ice, newly ranked ASU hockey starts its weekend series tonight against Northern Michigan. And with that new number next to their name, the Sun Devils are playing with some fresh swagger. Senior forward Alex Young talked this week about the team's rising confidence.
It's definitely high. We had some mistakes that we need to clean up from the weekend against Merrimack, and we just in our own mindset and for our team, we expect to beat every team that we go out against every night. And so confidence is high, but it doesn't matter if the team we're playing against is ranked or unranked. We're going to go out there the same way, play the same way, and expect to win every night and play our hardest.
ASU will hope to use that confidence in its upcoming matchup against Northern Michigan this weekend. And before we do that, though, let's bring in our WCSN hockey reporter, Gabriella Chernoff, outside Mullet Arena. Now, Gabby, before we look at that matchup, this upcoming matchup, let's take a look back last weekend against Merrimack. What were some of the positives ASU had against Merrimack that could work in its favor this weekend against Northern Michigan?
Hi, Jonah. Yeah, I'm right here outside Mullet Arena. This Northern Michigan bus just got here, actually, to my right as well. But some things I liked last weekend that they could carry into this weekend was there was contribution from all parties involved. 3 of the 4 lines had goals in that second game, 3 points from the defense throughout the series, and TJ Septenfelter with a .968 save percentage throughout that series as well. Another thing that Coach Powers really liked from his team was that they were very heavy on their sticks, winning puck battles, winning puck races. He said that when they kind of notched into that part of their game, it proved to be very successful last weekend, so they'll need that this weekend as well.
Yeah, and now with this weekend, Northern Michigan 0-1-1 to start the year. Even without a win, they're receiving votes in the USCHO poll. What are the key parts of the Wildcats game that the Sun Devils need to be aware of, and how can they shut that down?
Yeah, so a big part of how Northern Michigan plays this game is that they're very heavy on the offense. They had 10 goals in their 2-game series against Minnesota Duluth, so ASU is going to need a really tight defense to be able to combat that. Shouldn't be too difficult, though, considering that their top 6 defensemen in that Merrimack series stayed out of the negatives in the plus-minus category, essentially meaning that when Merrimack was scoring goals, those 6 defensemen were not the ones out there letting it happen. An important thing for this weekend's matchups for sure.
And now with ASU, looking back at last weekend against Merrimack, a slew of contributors, including several seniors that stepped up. What names are you keeping an eye out for this series that could play a big role?
Yeah, I can't not talk about Matthew Copperud. The Denver native notched the game winner in both games against Merrimack, so a lot of excitement and kind of a lot of pressure on him this weekend to just have that same big impact. Looking forward to seeing what he'll be able to do. And also that entire bottom line, so that's Eckerly, Gordon, and O'Reilly. Power said they were the perfect 4th line, praising their efforts offensively and those on the back check as well. Important aspects when you're looking to win any game. And finally, the man himself between the pipes, TJ Septenfelter. He was the backbone of that series. He was carrying that team when they were struggling, and he's very, very consistent. A .916 career save percentage as a Sun Devil, and he's the only NCAA goaltender as of now to record a shutout against a ranked team. So I have no doubt that the brick wall will be able to stand strong against Northern Michigan. ASU and the Wildcats will face off at 7 p.m. today and tomorrow right here at Mullet Arena. Guys.
All right, Gabby, great stuff. Watch out for some of those mullet maniacs. And before we go too crazy with this year's team, let's take a look back at the last time ASU started out 2-0 back in the 2018-19 season. That was the last time the Sun Devils made the NCAA tournament. And as WCSN hockey reporter Zach Nicolaitis tells us, head coach Greg Powers is looking to get back to the big dance for one final splash as an independent team.
The Sun Devils are rolling right out of the gate, starting their season with a perfect 2-0 record as they swept the ranked opponent Merrimack in 2 exhilarating matchups. ASU has not commenced a season going 2-0 since their 2018-19 campaign, where they qualified for the club's first ever NCAA tournament in team history. Head coach Greg Powers made the comparison following his team's sweep against Merrimack.
It's good. I mean, it's the second time in our NCAA era that we've opened up 2-0. You know, the last time was 2-0 and we made the tournament. So it's a good start. You know, as an independent, every win matters. And to get two against the team that's going to get a lot of wins this season, which Merrimack will, you'll see that. It'll be the gift that keeps on giving.
The Sun Devils finished 21-13-1 in 2018-19 with a .614 win percentage. That was good enough for ASU to qualify for some postseason hockey. That Arizona State squad even featured a now NHL goaltender Joey Decord. Decord boasted a 2.35 goals against average and a .926 save percentage in 2018-19, leading his group to the playoffs. Decord now plays in the National Hockey League, where he was drafted by the Ottawa Senators and currently serves as a backup netminder for the Seattle Kraken. Once in the NCAA tournament, the Sun Devils were ousted quickly by Quinnipiac. ASU only managed to notch a single tally and were subsequently sent home in the first round. The task won't be effortless, but ASU's current squad will look to replicate the feats of the 2018-19 ASU Sun Devils.
Holds an 18-2 overall record and is ranked as the number 17 team in the nation. J.J. Van Niel's team made even more noise last weekend when they swept number 5 Oregon in straight sets on the road. For an update on the team, we bring in our WCSN volleyball reporters Josh Freeman and Zach Woodard.
The 19th-ranked Sun Devils had a hot and cold weekend in the state of Oregon as they struggled against Oregon State on Friday night, who came into the match just 5-11 overall. The Beavers saw 3 players notch a double-digit number of kills, led by star outside hitter Michael Vernon, who had 19 on the night, and that proved to be the biggest difference maker as the Beavers recorded their first Pac-12 conference victory of the season. That said, ASU was able to turn it around quickly and turn the heat up as they traveled down south to face Oregon in Eugene. The Sun Devils downed the 5th-ranked Ducks in straight sets, recording the sweep and getting one of their biggest wins in recent history as a program. The supporting cast was the star for the Sun Devils on the night, as Roberta Habelo and Jillian Neal recorded multiple timely plays throughout the match. The Sun Devils now turn their attention to a road trip in the Rocky Mountains, and Zach Woodard has more.
Thanks, Josh. After a weekend of highs and lows in Oregon, the Devils now get ready to face the Rocky Mountains. They are in Salt Lake City right now to face the University of Utah for their Flashback Friday, a team that they beat in 4 sets just 1 year ago. After that match, it's a quick turnaround as the Devils will travel to Boulder to face the University of Colorado. In 23 meetings since 1990, the Buffs have gotten the better of the Devils, winning 12 of those matches, the most recent being a sweep over Arizona State just 1 year ago. With the Buffs playing around 500 on the season, the Devils now have a chance to even up the series and take revenge all in one match.
It's been a productive fall season for the ASU softball team, with second-year head coach Megan Bartlett trying to rebound after a less than stellar first season. Our Crawford McKinstry tells us how they fared and what's left to be improved.
Arizona State softball just concluded fall play, finishing with a record of 4-1 and outscoring their opponents by a total of 59-11. ASU's schedule came with 3 blowout wins against Central Arizona, Embry-Riddle, and Phoenix College, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for the Sun Devils as their crosstown rival GCU caused them plenty of trouble. The Lobes traveled to Farrington Stadium 2 weeks ago and nearly toppled the Sun Devils, but solid pitching and a clutch walk-off single by sophomore Aiden Allen secured the win for ASU and kept their hopes of an undefeated fall season alive. On Wednesday night in the second meeting between the two rivals, the Lobes edged out the Sun Devils 4-0 in North Phoenix as ASU failed to capitalize on multiple opportunities at the dish. With adjustments, Arizona State head coach Megan Bartlett believes ASU's pitching can compete with the best in the Pac-12 during the final year of the conference. With a roster full of fresh faces like most teams in the NIL era, a lot of question marks around this squad, and new players will have to step up. So we'll have to wait and see if autumn dingers bring May flowers for the Devils.
Another team that's hoping their fall success carries over to the spring is ASU men's golf, who finished in the top 4 of every event they played in this first half of this season. Josele Ballester led the way for the Sun Devils at the Williams Cup last week, and for more on the junior, we check in with Aiden O'Neill.
Josele Ballester, a junior from Spain, shined during the fall season and was the lead individual for the Sun Devils at the Fighting Illini Invite and Williams Cup. Ballester has been no stranger to the spotlight during his amateur career, achieving Ping All-American Honorable Mention status in back-to-back seasons and winning the 2023 European Amateur Championship. The dominance of Spaniards is no new feat in this program. Reigning Masters champion, the number 3 golfer in the world, Jon Rahm, has his name forever etched in Sun Devil golf history. The 2016 graduate of ASU began the Spanish outburst of talent in Tempe. He posted a 69.38 scoring average as a senior and was ranked among the top golfers in the country, helping pave the way for a successful PGA career. A fellow player from Spain, David Puig, came to Arizona State shortly after in 2019 with aspirations of doing the same. Being a Sun Devil is a dream come true, he said. Following in the footsteps of John is one of the best moments of my life. Puig knew his opportunity wouldn't be taken for granted. He immediately came on the scene, challenging tournament records set by Phil Mickelson and winning the Southwestern Invitational 2 years in a row. 13 months ago, Puig announced that he will be joining the LIV Golf Tour, signing a $4 million contract. Fast forward to today, Puig is tearing up his opponents on Team Torque GC, who are in 3rd place in the season-long standings with the championship set to take place this weekend. Clearly, head coach Matt Thurman has found some gems in a country full of other sports getting more attention. Ballester looks to be the heir to the throne and become the new Spanish star for ASU.
Number 5, we got some ASU volleyball action last week from their match in Eugene. Oregon just sends it a little bit high and long as ASU would get their 5th top 5 win in program history and their first road sweep since 2018.
Let's go to last Saturday for number 4 ASU hockey taking on Merrimack, and look at the goalie TJ Sempton-Felter sprawling across the net. Straight robbery. ASU would take down Merrimack 4-2.
At number 3, back to ASU soccer on the pitch. Last night's 72nd minute. Here we go. It's Hannah Lapierre. That would be the game-winning goal as ASU would pull off the upset over USC. They take it 1-0.
Back to Mullet on opening night. Matthew Copperwood says goodnight on the tip. The game-winning goal in overtime. Look at that one more time. Copperwood says not once, but twice, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. At first, you don't succeed. Try again, and he does it.
Jonah, that was Friday night. Now we take a look at Saturday night, and if you need to know one name in ASU hockey, it is Matthew Copperwood. Take a look. One-timer. He shoots. He scores. It's the game-winning goal. It would put ASU up 3-2. They would eventually take it 4-2 and sweep Merrimack. And that'll wrap it up for this edition of Cronkite Sports Live. For Jonah Krell and our entire studio crew, we say thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.